Hey, it's Octavia once again. This time I want to talk about Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense, because I have it. I have one. It was stronger when, much stronger when I was a kid. It comes to me differently now that I have, I'm gonna say, aged. Sixth Sense. So, let me say this. I am not deceased. I am not dead. No, I am not dead. Also, this has to do with RIPD film. This has to do with the people, or should I say the major star in that film, and spirit tribes, spirit tribe entities. I'm talking about my first friend. My first friend, even though I had been to daycare and all that, you know, I had friends that lived in the neighborhood in my building. But my first friend was Casper, the friendly ghost. They said, don't say friendly, but it's true. Everybody knows it's true. And I don't mean from TV. I mean, we used to sit and talk. Have I been able to hear from the dead all my life? Yes. Yes and no. And then yes again. Let me say, you know, abilities and things of that nature, they change over time. You grow older, you grow up, you have experiences, you're living life, you know, you get married, divorce, have children, whatever, start a new job, buy a new vehicle. Income puts you into a different class. Even though they claim we don't have class systems in America, we do. Oh, we do. Trust and believe. I've seen the databases. Now, they could have been changed, or I'm seeing the word altered, to prevent people from seeing the fact that it is class. It's in a classification. You know, down to people who have been incarcerated. They get a class that's, I'm hearing, unique, specified to them, that they lived through. Okay? And don't just automatically presume that that's negative. That's not true. What else am I? People who are low income, people who are middle class. I don't know about upper class. I've never been upper class. When I was working in the databases, I didn't research or pull up any names of any, you know, rich, wealthy Americans, because, you know, just the tarot card reader in me, because I've been reading tarot in my spiritual dreams since I was a child, a little kid. Knew better than to pull up on a wealthy person's energy. These people have goons. They have baboons. They have flying monkeys. They will come to see. They will come check you, boo. To put it in the better terms. They will come check you, boo. So yes, so my sixth sense. My sixth sense. It's not something that was given to me. It's not a gift. I was born into it. I've always had it. Like I said, it's been altered, it's been changed, it's been manipulated, but it always comes back to me. It's born, it's within. I'm not here to brag, I just want to educate people. Let's call this an educational series. Sixth Sense. My sixth sense, it's not wet. But people want to believe that it is. When I say wet, it's not of the water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spirit says get one more. Spirit says take one more. Okay. It wants to come out. Okay. Okay. So we got 6. I know what this one is already. This is fork in the road. People have been trying to block me, stop me, prevent me, have me indecisive, make choices or choose something that they possibly chose because they cannot see. I never said that I could see. There have been circumstances that have taken place and that have caused me to see the dead. And when I have seen the dead, they appear to me as a normal human being, someone alive just like you and I, or you and me. Yep, that's what I'm hearing. Someone just as alive as you and me. I want you to know that this is not something that I've asked for. This is not even something that I realized that I was doing as a child. I used to talk to my parents about the dead because I could hear them. And sometimes I could see them. Like I said, I would see them sitting and talking to me in my room, in my family members' homes. You know, that's just how it is. You know, we have to understand that the earth was occupied before we were born. And energies and entities linger on, whether it is in and this is how I perceive the realms that the deceased live in. It's layered over top of us. This is our reality and their realm is over top of us. However, it's like it's opaque. It surrounds us. It hovers. It I don't want to say hovers because that makes it seem like it's always above us. It's not. It is like a layer. I'm going to say thick, puffy, yet clear layer. And it's on a higher frequency than ours. However, in a different dimension, yet able to touch and exist within our dimension. If that logically makes sense. And as I try to find the words to be descriptive, you know, to my best abilities of how I see the spiritual realm, you know, I will clarify. So the next we have here, breathe. See, they're not aware that they cannot breathe. They're not aware that they no longer can breathe. See, we breathe as human beings. We're not thinking about breathing. We just do it. It's just something that our body has been capable of doing ever since we were born. But for them, breathing is like meditating. For them, a breath of oxygen is our saying here in America, a breath of fresh air. Because their time is different than our time. Okay? We count our time on the clock. They don't. Okay? And that's my deep knowing and my inner knowing of my perception of time. And it comes from being connected to the deceased. We have leg up here. Leg up is usually when someone assists you. And if you saw the picture on this card, this is an adult helping or assisting a smaller child. And that possibly is what happened to me. But I'm gonna set this straight. That did not happen to me in this lifetime. This is a past life. When I existed in the earthly realms as another person, as another being. See, I can remember when we were red, yellow, blue, and green creatures roaming the earth. I can remember the 2 suns in the sky. And even when they put a third one there to give us some type of false perception. of the sky and the entities within it. How did I know that superheroes live in the heavens? This is knowledge that I brought into this life from the womb, from before the womb. Because I can remember becoming here or wanting to come here and knowing what I needed to know out in space, in the darkness, in the constellations of space. And coming here and believing in God, and people laughing at me and disowning me and rejecting me and excluding me and leaving me out and calling me a hippie and all types of things. I don't care. I never cared. I know what I came here for. It's because I believe. And because of my beliefs, I have what I have. And I know there's people who wear the cloth. It's people who have, what do they call it? Religious university degrees, or should I say paperwork, right? Where they feel as if they know so much about God. But ask them, make them remember why they really wanted to become a reverend or a pastor. And for the most of them, it was because tax benefits, donations, free money, con artistry. Most, I didn't say all. Some really truly did have belief, but once they hit that school, that institution, okay, things were manipulated and altered within their minds to perceive religion differently than their congregation. That's just my beliefs of it. So this next card says Treasure Island. See, what we don't know is that this land that we live on, Mother Gaia, is full of rubies, diamonds. And see, we know that, right? Crystals, even coal. We know that that Mother Gaia, this planet that we live on, has earthly, elements that we put value on, right? But we see right through the spirituals of our earth. There is a treasure on our planet Earth, which is a treasure island. And that's what most people cannot see. But I can, with my sixth sense, is my perception. It's how I perceive. Go the distance here. Go the distance. Make it to the finish line. It's life. It's the life journey. It's not about finishing the journey. It's about living. It's about what you do throughout the process. I recognized that as a kid. Let me tell you a story. Right after I pull this self-care card. This purple, I have to set the record straight to these people with this color purple. It is not the film. It is not the movie. It is not Whoopi Goldberg on The View. I'm seeing Joy Behar. It's not Joy Behar. They believe it's her red hair or something. That's a piece. Here we go. Create art. 1 and 7. 1 and 7 equaling 8. Every time I get 8, my truth, I know number 8 is my truth, okay? My beliefs. Number 8 is the Asian number 8 with this wealth and prosperity. But America takes the number 8 and makes it something sacrificial and beneath other people as low income. With the term I'm hearing, Section 8. I had to get me some water. So what I'm hearing is that, what I'm seeing is they want the number 8 to be beneath them. Beneath them. And we got breathing here again at the top of the deck. They don't understand. See, they keep trying to say that because we bury people after they die, that they're beneath us, right? Beneath us. But do you see how the deep breathing and it leads upwards? They're above us. They're above us. They don't understand or comprehend that life goes on. I've said it repeatedly to the point where I had to stop saying it. We are spirits having a human experience. You know why? Because of these karmic entities that have been allowed to enter our physical bodies to our detriment, and to the humans, the men in authority that allowed this capabilities and allowed this deceit, lies, and criminality to go on for so long. I'm hearing the end. It's coming to an end and they know it. So they can talk about the underground and knowing full and darn well that they mean the dead. But they allow people to perceive it, to manipulate the perception of it as into slavery, the Underground Railroad, when that is not what it is at all. So here's my story for you really briefly. When I was a child, my great-grandmother passed away. And every few months I would see my grandmother cry. And I would say, and she would be, humming a gospel song. But tears would just be streaming down her face. And she'd be cooking in the kitchen for the family. And I said, Grandma, why are you crying? And she said, oh, I tell you, it's grief. I said, okay. I said, what in the heck is a grief? So as soon as I got to school, I put my dictionary on my desk, my old school desk. You lift it up, pull your books out. So we got the new ones, so they just stayed open and you just slide the stuff in and out. I pulled my dictionary out, I got the G, and I went down, and I was like, grief. Oh, she's sad. It says sadness, crying due to a loss of a person or a loss of something that was valuable to them. And I said, oh, she's crying still. Months, if not years later, after my great-grandmother had passed on. So I said, okay. My little kid brain. I didn't know how to help my grandmother at the time. But I would always listen and observe to comprehend and perceive and to learn from, to gather knowledge and resource information of what my family members were doing around me. I came into this life that way. I came into this world being able to think at that level as a child. So I heard them saying we're going to see Grandma. And I said, we're going to see Grandma. I said, why do y'all keep saying that Grandma's in her room? And they said, not your grandmother, Octavia. We're going to see your great-grandmother, Octavia. We're going to see my grandma. I said, oh. This is my aunts and uncles were telling me, we're going to see my grandma. And I said, oh. Okay. So then I was like, what the heck is this familial line that they just brought to my awareness? And I became mentally obsessed with the notion of a family tree. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it had something to do with lineage, ancestry, things of that nature. So I'm sitting in the living room one day, and I said, Grandma? She said, yes. I said, Great grandma not in her grave. She said, yes, I know, Octavia, she's in heaven. I said, no. I said, she's not in her grave. She said, what do you mean? I said, okay. I tried my best to explain it to her, but emotionally she was distraught by what she was perceiving that I was saying to her. When one of my older aunts came home, they both talked to me about it, and my aunt was asking me more specific questions. My grandmother could not get past her tears, her emotions. She missed her mom. She really, really was in her heart longing out for her mom. But what was really happening was, and I knew this, and my grandmother knew this, but she didn't have those words. You know, educational system was different for children that grew up in the 50s and the 60s. And so she didn't have that, when I say those words, she didn't have the capability of expression. Okay, of that at that level, because they were taught not to speak, not to talk. Don't say it, right? My aunt finally asked me, she said, do you mean that she's not buried in her coffin where her headstone? And I remember clearly her doing like this, where her headstone is at. And I said, yes, because it was so vivid in my head. Looking at my grandmother's gravestone with her name on it, her date of birth and her death, and the grave, and knowing that her spirit, her energy was not there. And you want to know why I know what I said was truth and factual? I said to my aunt, does her grave say? And I read her name, and I said born on, and to, and then the end date, her end of life date. And they were astonished because I was so young, I really literally could not read. But what they had known was that my father had taught me how to read. He taught me how to read. While he read the paper, I would sit next to him and he would hand me stuff. And he would show me like one word a day or every few days. Look for this word and read it. Every time you see it, read that word, right? So I go through the other words. I'd be like, he was like, just say it's a word, it's a word, it's a word, and read the word that I taught you, right? Until it got to the point where, because this took a long period of time, I could read an entire sentence. And then he will hand me, the pages out of the newspaper that he wasn't interested in reading. And I would read it. And he would sit there and look at me because I was so young, but I could read. So what happened in my home, my extended family, they're not my extended family, but they're my mom's siblings and my mom's mom. They didn't know what was happening in our home. They didn't know that I could read because I was so young. They were just like, oh, Tay and her sister are here, and they little, turn on some cartoons on the TV or something, or get them a game to play. Occupy their time. It's the knowledge that I had. It's not necessarily the wisdom. It wasn't. Because we look at that word wisdom as ancient knowledge, things that are really deep and maybe historic or maybe not well known. So for me, it was just knowledge. It was just information. So I read the tombstone to my aunt, and then she said, okay, I gotta go, but I'm coming back here in the morning. And she was like, Tay, are you and your sister gonna be here? And I said, yes, right? And I knew we were gonna be there because my mom had already explained to me we would be there in the morning the next day as well. And so my aunt came, and she was on the phone calling the funeral home. Not the funeral home, the cemetery. And telling them that we wanted to make arrangements for I forgot how large a big group. Basically, we had like 2 large vehicles that were available at the time, full of family members to go out to visit my great grandmother's burial site at the cemetery. And my aunt said, why do you need to know why we want to come and visit her? We want to come and visit her. And I yelled out and I said, tell her, because we know that she's not in there. And I just kept saying it. And I knew it was rude. And as a kid, when you're being rude, you know, you're going to get your hand smacked. You're going to get your mouth smacked. If you grew up in a black home, you're going to get smacked in the face. You're going to get smacked in the mouth. You're going to have some bleeding ass gums. And it's going to come from you being a little smart ass, stay in a child's place type stuff that happens in black homes. But that didn't happen. And when I tell you I spoke up, I was scared. I was scared to do it, but I did it. And my aunt finally said, we know she's not in there. We're coming to see her. And she said to me, who do you think is in her grave? And like, boom, on my mind, I knew this man's name. And I said his name. I just blurted it out. And she put my aunt on hold for like 30 minutes. I know she was expecting my aunt to hang up. Ain't no way. No, not when you lose the matriarch of your family. It was a long hold, okay? And my aunt was like, yes, I'm still here. And she said, yes, we do have a man buried in this cemetery with that name. He is not in my aunt's grandmother's grave site, which is my great grandmother. He is over beyond past the tree near the building. And I said, no, he's in my grandmother's grave. Right? So we went out there and we basically complained and refused to leave until they dug up the grave. And when they dug up the grave, it was that man. And I'm sad about it because he was disconnected from his family and my great grandmother was disconnected from hers. This man's soul used to cry out to me, and to the point that he got really, really angry and furious. And I got chill bumps everywhere, but I'll never forget this story. The man was so sad. When his wife would come and visit him, he just wanted to hold her hand because he thought he was still alive and sick. And she used to hold his hand. And I had to tell him that he was dead. And he told me, clear as day, they've been going over there talking to your grandmother. I said, what do you mean? He said, is that your grandmother? I said, that's my great grandmother. He said, your great grandmother is in my grave. And they put me in hers. And that ruined the family tree. Spiritual. Because of disconnect, right? And you can't have a spiritual timeout, right? And it has affected the whole entire family. Okay? So every time a young one grows up and comes into adulthood, into their adult rights, right? Things that they're naturally supposed to receive and nurturally supposed to receive on this planet, there's a disconnect. Because what should have came from the woman, the matriarch of our family, a man was put into that spiritually. Now, as far as I know, and I'm 46 years old, no other person in my family can hear and speak to the dead like how I can, or have been able to. I'm not a medium. I am not a medium. Spirits do not occupy me. And then I speak, oh, I do not look at a crystal ball. I don't scry. It's just a meditative state, a dimensional connection that's within my spiritual DNA that cannot be altered or tampered with. You cannot. You see all that water? Water representing emotions in tarot, right? The love that I have and still have, that still remains, for my great-grandmother, for my first ghostly friend, Casper, okay? And he was not of the cartoon TV show. That's a connection. That's not tears. That's love. That's deep knowing. That is a level and an amount of respect that people cannot perceive. And that's why I always tout respect the dead. But they're teaching us to be disrespectful these days. They're teaching people to be disrespectful. So, my sixth sense knows that there is a soul. And it's not fake. And these people seem to think that it's fake. Yeah, because they can't decide what to believe. They think it's all in my imagination. Oh, it's just a child's imagination. Oh, well, I was able to connect to it through my imagination. Were you? No. And that's the envy. I'm hearing that's the cause of their envy. That's also the cause of their fear. Their fear of having a relationship with me in any kind of way, in any capacity. And I get it. But this can't be rubbed off. And they're under judgment for that. They're unable to perceive the fact that just because one person can doesn't mean the other person can. They think it's about a color, and it's not. They think it's about grief, and it's not. I didn't know what grief was. I was a little kid. Remember, I went to look it up in the dictionary. The feelings and emotions and mental heaviness that you get with grief, I had no idea what that was. I was a little kid. I was not in school. I was a little kid. I had been in a daycare facility that was not a part of an educational system. Remember, this is back in the day. Daycares don't always have connectivities to a school. Just a daycare. Pop up here, pop up there, whatever. Just a company that wanted to take a space and say, hey, I'm going to keep kids here. And we were all little. But I was so smart, I was kept away from the other kids. Because I didn't, even though my dad was teaching me to read, I didn't run to my mama and say, Mommy, I can read. And if I did, she ain't listen to me, Just too busy getting dressed in the morning in that worker bee syndrome. Okay, I got to do this. I got to be finished by this. So we got to be out of here at this time. I got to be on the road, so get to work, drop you off, blah, blah, So anyway, my great-grandmother's grave now occupies her body in the coffin that the family purchased for her. Yet in the spirit, when we go to great grandmother's house, it's empty. And it's sad. Because the emptiness, you can feel it. You can feel the detachment. You can, and this is what gets me, right? Nature is funny. The leaves are dead. Because there are leaves flowing through the house. And a cool breeze. And the leaves were dead. And I said, damn. Because remember, I can't say remember, but I remember that I am the first grandchild. So if me being the first grandchild, that's me, Octavia Hamilton. If the leaves are dead, when I make it home to grandma's, and I did, what happens to the others after me? And that makes me sad. It shouldn't have to be false. It shouldn't have to be created. People should not be lied to or deceived. Oh, they died. Okay, well, we just going to replace it with artificial intelligence. Whatever that blank space that the artificial intelligence is filling in, whatever they decide to use, is wrong. You can't deceive someone's family tree. Whether they're awake or not, whether they have the eyes to see it or not, I know. And I'm going to let my kids know. My kids going to know the truth. So when they are potentially deceived or arriving at great grandma's house, they know how it's supposed to look, feel, and who they'll see there. Because there's someone there, but it's not my great grandma. There's other people in the family that tried to steal. And you know we got that kind of mess that goes on. These people that tried to take, I want to take their home. I'm going to take their spiritual home. Look, mirror. They're just mirroring what they perceive based off of their own self-image. Stabbed in the back. I don't know who got stabbed in the back so that other family person could be present in my great-grandmother's spiritual home. But it was a lie. It was a lie. And now I have brought clarity to the confusion. I have brought truth. I have revealed. I have stood in solidarity and spoke my truth in honor, with protection and power, the sword and the rose. My family, my children, they will know the truth as I do. This has been tough, y'all. And I use the cards just to give you all a visual. It's been really, but it's been weighing on me. Because I keep thinking my sixth sense, maybe that's what they want to steal. That's what they hate. You don't have to thin line between love and hate me because you're envious. Because guess what? I don't want to be with no person, male or female, that loves and hates me and then calls it adoration. No, thank you. Go lie to someone else. I cannot be deceived. And stop trying to alter my Akashic records or my family's family tree with your programming and your code and your artificial realities. You can't lie to me. Octavia. I don't mean Metatron. Archangel Metatron exists, yes. But I am Octavia. Born Octavia Hamilton. I will always be Octavia Hamilton. That name carries on within me. That's my blood, my DNA, as well as my mother's familial name. That's my blood. I cannot tell you how I got that gift. I've always had it. It has nothing to do with DED, Department of Education. It has nothing to do with the military, the Army, the Navy. It has nothing to do with the sea. It has nothing to do with water. It has nothing to do with these entities, these marine spirits that people play with and try to exchange gifts with. And these are just entities attached to these people. It's not that. It's within me. It's inward, not Squidward. Because these people like to play on words, so I'm going to play on my words right back to them. It's intellect. Even though they try to say some intellectuals are stupid, and then they label them, oh, this is psychobabble, like some Terrence Howard bullshit. That's not this. That's what he did. Don't make it seem like that's what everybody does just because they low income. No. Because I loved but that came later. He is just imitating an imposter. He didn't know how to get free. Probably still doesn't. It has nothing to do with low income. It has nothing to do with the educational system. It has nothing to do with an institution, an organization, an association, a neighborhood, a city. It has to do with Octavia Hamilton's constellations, birth, entrance into the atmosphere, okay? And I'm talking about from the constellations into the realm. I'm not talking about from my mother's womb. It's the scoops that God added to the vessel that makes me Octavia. I'm rare. I'm not a medium. I'm not a psychic. I never said I was. However, when you go on social media sites and you have to choose what category your business falls under, it will say astrology. It will say psychic. It will say, you have to pick whatever it says, whether it's fortune teller or psychic. That doesn't make me that. That is the label, the categorization that is available to explain to the person scrolling or the potential shopper that this is the category for my business. So I'm going to go now and get me some hot tea because I got to lift my energies again. Great grandma in heaven. And I know she's already re-entered the realms because that connection is gone, like I said. I love you. And to the woman that I knew and spent time with, rest in heaven. And all I can do is continue to pray for and ask for divine protection over my family and our familial spiritual connection. Until next time. This has been my educational series, I guess, on Sixth Sense by Octavia Hamilton Flores. Thank you.